Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom surrounded by mountains and shining golden towers, there was a land called Alyora. People admired Alyora for its beauty and wealth, but behind the palace walls lived someone who did not share that happiness. His name was Prince Kayan. Kayan was the only heir to the throne. He had everything: power, respect, and a future prepared for him since childhood. But there was one thing he no longer had: joy. After losing his mother at a young age, the palace became silent in his heart. He stopped enjoying celebrations, avoided crowds, and spent most of his days alone. People respected him, but no one truly knew him. Far beyond Alyora lived a young woman named Lian. She was not born into royalty. She lived with her father in a peaceful village and loved simple things: reading books, writing letters she never sent, and sitting by the river imagining stories. She believed life was more than titles and crowns. One morning, everything changed. A royal messenger arrived carrying a sealed letter. The king of Alyora had announced a special selection. Someone from neighboring lands would become the future princess. After unexpected events and a test of wisdom, Lian was chosen. She could hardly believe it. Days later, she left her home and traveled to the royal palace. The palace was more beautiful than she imagined, but it also felt cold. That evening, Prince Kayan requested to meet her. She entered a grand hall and found him standing near a tall window. Without turning around, he said, "You are not who I expected." Lian smiled softly. "And you are not who stories describe." He turned and looked at her. For a moment, neither spoke. Something felt different. At first, they kept their distance. Kayan treated their engagement as duty. Lian refused to pretend to be someone she was not. She spent her days in the royal library while he worked. Slowly, things changed. He noticed she never tried to impress him. She noticed his silence was not coldness, it was sadness. They began talking, walking in the gardens, sharing thoughts. One evening, Kayan asked, "Do you know the hardest part of being a prince?" She answered, "What?" He looked away. "Everyone expects you to be strong. No one asks if you were okay." Lian looked at him and quietly replied, "Maybe because you never let anyone come close enough to ask." For the first time, he smiled. Weeks later, a grand celebration was held. Nobles gathered from every kingdom. During the evening, one noble openly mocked Lian. "She may wear beautiful clothes," he said, "but she does not belong here." The room became silent. Before Kayan could answer, Lian stepped forward. She said calmly, "I did not come here to prove I am better than anyone." Then she added, "If royalty is measured only by origin, perhaps we still do not understand what makes someone truly noble." No one spoke. Kayan looked at her and smiled again. A real smile. But happiness did not last. Political conflict began between kingdoms. To protect peace, their engagement had to end. The king ordered Lian to leave. Kayan said nothing. But that night, he realized he was losing something important. Morning came. Lian stood near the palace gates. Kayan walked toward her. She smiled sadly. "This was never your fault." He answered quietly, "But I did nothing to stop it." She looked at him. "Some things cannot be stopped, only lived." She turned to leave. Then he asked,
If things were different, would you stay? She looked at him one last time. Yes. And she left.
Months passed. The palace remained beautiful, but Kayan became silent again. Every evening, he stood by the same window. Until one day, a messenger arrived carrying a letter. No royal seal, only familiar handwriting. Inside, it said, "If there is only one road that brings us back together, I will walk it, even if it seems impossible." Kayan closed the letter, looked at the horizon, and whispered, "Maybe our story is not over." And here, our story comes to an end for now. Will Prince Kayan and Princess Lian find their way back to each other? Or will destiny choose a different path? We will discover that in part 2. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to support the channel by subscribing, leaving a like, and turning on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Thank you for listening. And until next time, goodbye, and see you in part 2.